Welcome to the Film Trooper podcast, empowering filmmaking entrepreneurs.
Hey, welcome to the Film Trooper podcast. Yes, this is the podcast where we empower you, the filmmaking entrepreneur. And a great way to get started is to get the book, How to Make and Sell Your Film Online and Survive the Hollywood Implosion while doing it. It's available in paperback, Kindle ebook, as well as an audiobook. And in fact, you can get the audiobook for free when you go to survivetheimplosion.com. That's survivetheimplosion.com. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Film Trooper podcast. I'm here. I'm Scott McMahon, and I'm along. Joining me, the co-host, is the indie film coach, Ron Newcomb. How you doing, Ron?
Doing good, Scott. Glad to be here.
Cool. So this episode is entitled "Filmmakers and Actors," or "Filmmakers, Actors," how to work a full-time job while pursuing your dreams, or something like that. I'll work out the title, but it's essentially that's what you're listening to, this particular episode. And So what you'll hear is the first guest we have. I've interviewed Brian Lewis of Halstead Properties. And what's interesting about Brian is that he is a stage actor from New York City, and also on-camera actor, and so he was pursuing the arts, and and spent some time in Los Angeles in his youth, and became friends with certain people that became very famous and well-to-do, such as Sean Hayes from Will and Grace, and also the producer of Grimm. And Grimm was the TV show that was shot up here in Portland. Had an opportunity to play a co-star day player on that on that show. So as Brian and I were talking, there's a lot. There's a very lengthy conversation I had with him, but you're only going to hear a snippet of it. But if you do want to get the full interview with Brian, then I encourage everybody to go to filmtrooper.com/140 for episode 140. But why I thought it was important to listen to what Brian had to say is that, here's someone who is an actor, and you'll hear it in the interview, that then there was a program in New York City that allowed him to get education in another field, which he found himself in real estate. And then what was great about it is that he kind of found his calling in that sense, but he's been able to connect the dots and bring his acting back into his work, because he was basically nominated and touted as having one of the most strangest and also the best real estate videos of the year a couple of years ago. And so he has these really charming videos that he does where he's walking through different properties in New York City, but you could tell like there's a showman to him. There's this very non-threatening, very charming person, giving you these tours of these houses. And then he's been on like all the business cable networks, and like Fox Business, and I think on CNN as well, NBC, where he's like the one of the go-to guys to talk about real estate. But his charm and his background in live performance has really come together. And so when I saw that, I saw someone who was able to have like a second life, not only being able to generate like a lot of money, because he's literally like ranked like 136 of like thousands of agents all over the country. So he's in like the top, 150 agents of all agents in the country. And so I thought it was inspirational because I think a lot of people out there listening, they have full-time jobs. They have jobs that sometimes have no connection to the world of the arts, either, the filmmaking or the acting and so on. And I just thought it'd be inspirational to hear what he had to say, and how, you don't necessarily have to let go of that artistic need if you find yourself in this position. Let's just jump into my interview with Brian Lewis from Halstead Properties, and how maintaining a full-time job, and maybe there's a career out there that can make you flourish, but also not necessarily make you give up on your filmmaking and acting dreams and so on. So hang on, here we are, the Film Trooper podcast.
I started out as an artist in that pursuit, and it's such a beautiful, noble pursuit, but boy, is it tough. And the heart stays artistic. The soul stays forever an artist's soul. But we live in a mortal world, don't we? And
yeah,
and bills come. and student loans must be paid.
Student loans,
and things happen, and dreams of family and life happen, and it's part of the experience I wanted to have. And so I found a path that enabled me to sort of push some of my artistic buttons, yet also create a really nice income stream. You know what? I played Officer Pete Bennett on The Guiding Light when that was a thing. I was at the tail end of that show, and I had this gig where I was, it was always day player.
Yeah.
3 days here, 2 days there. But it was so much fun
to
be sort of in the tail end of the golden era of the soaps,
Mm-hmm.
And it gave my mom and my grandmother a real kick to see me up there, right? So,
isn't it? That's so funny.
Oh, I had a ball. And, I turned 30 at one point, and that's always a thing, right? And then I actually literally went to the Actors Fund, which is a benevolent group that helps people who are artists. I think union members, so SAG-AFTRA Equity, and I have been for a long time, all three, and they help you find your transition job, or if your ends aren't meeting, they help you find a world where they can meet. They help dancers who have, get older, quite frankly, and need help, and they, injured artists or somebody who needs benefits that doesn't have them or qualify at that quarter or whatever. And I literally said, hi, I have a degree from William and Mary. I think I have a pretty decent head on my shoulders. I'm carrying bags at the hotels. I was with the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, and I said, and that's fine, but I'm turning 30, and there's a strike. There's a SAG strike. I'm not even allowed to audition right now for the things that I want, the commercials that were kind of feeding me.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of those. And I said, and I want more, and I don't know what to do, and I don't think I want to go to law school, even though my education might lead you to think I would.
Right.
And they said, well, fill in this bubble sheet, and we'll take a look. And I did, and I remember so clearly the lady's name was Patch Schwandren.
That is an interesting name.
Patricia.
Yeah.
And she herself was a dancer, a ballet dancer. And she ran this work program, the Actors Work Program, at the Actors Fund. And she came back, she took the form, and she said, Brian, you should do real estate sales.
Wow.
And I said, okay, sign me up. And she did, and they paid for it. And I made a pledge to myself that I'd pay them back every penny they gave me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how little money I had at the time. I was so hand-to-mouth that I needed that support, right? And I was ashamed to ask my family because I wasn't a kid anymore. And my brothers were getting married, and they had jobs and careers, and I felt like, wow, okay, the prodigal son is up here trying to make it. And the ends weren't meeting. I had good stories, good cocktail chatter about day player this and stand-in that, and all that good stuff was working in my favor. But cocktail chatter does not pay the bills.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And so I literally got my license. I paid them back as quickly as I could. I started working here in Manhattan at a company called Halstead Property, and I still work here.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing.
I've been here a while, and I'm enjoying it. And I try to grow every year. I try to do new things, and I really enjoy the marketing piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I love getting new properties. I love to market them. I love to talk about them. I love to get them on the media. I like to talk to the media. I just like to market. I just love it. I recently sold the estate of Greta Garbo, right?
Wow.
Very amazing
actress,
world-class caliber, very famous. She's very dead.
Yes.
And her family, who could not be lovelier, hired me with two buddies from Halstead who actually had a connection with the family. They're the Kerrs. So Woody and Will Kerr are the reason I got that listing, because they're intimately friendly with the family and in a different way than I was brought in to help them market. And I tell you, the Three Musketeers did it. But the most fun I had was that gave me a lot of red meat to work with. I mean, the legend of Greta Garbo,
Yeah.
her life there, she was very private, so I had this whole concept of letting people on the inside for the first time, you know, that secret kind of marketing kind of, hey, let me show you a secret. People
Yeah.
love that. Backstage somewhere. It's a very backstage story. And not putting myself in the caliber of artist that she was at all, because I don't know if I deserve to be. Those hallowed grounds. And that doesn't mean I have low self-esteem. That just means I'm real.
No. I get you.
But being in her world, even remotely, was such a privilege, an honor. And we approached it respectfully, and we made great friends of that family, and I think they would say the same thing. And I just had a ball. And I have to pinch myself. I'm like, this guy from Virginia who moved a lot, me,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, moved to North Carolina. We moved a lot because my dad didn't have a very extensive education, but he had a lot of drive.
Yeah.
We moved all the time. And so this kid, lower middle class kid, selling Greta Garbo's place, getting a big old bidding war going, marketing on NBC and doing press junkets, and I just pinch myself every day.
That's amazing.
And fun. And it's not all roses, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. When I first got into real estate, you know, I was still auditioning a lot, and I do have agents. I'm with Innovative in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Have I don't take advantage of some of the auditions they throw my way these days, and I know that sounds horrible to anyone listening who's an artist thinking, what are you kidding? Yeah. But I my heart isn't there right now because I'm in this.
Yeah.
But it would, hey, I'd take it in a minute because I'm not going to lie to you. I'd love to finish that chapter of my book, meaning not literally, I don't have a book yet, but that artist chapter is not done. And I don't know what that means, and I'm thinking about it all the time and kind of feeling it out. But I have a feeling that I'll do in the real estate thing for quite some time, and there's going to be a bridge of worlds and a synchronicity, and something good's going to come of it.
Yeah.
And I'll be the old fucker on every show. I'll be like, you know what I mean? I'll be like the new Wilford Brimley on Broadway, TV, film, or whatever new media everybody comes up with next. I'll be there. And I always tell my daughters, I say, you know, Daddy's not done.
Yeah.
But I'm not this like jaded, I didn't make it guy, you know.
Yeah. Frankly,
I think if I did have amazing artistic chops, like my friend Sean, for example, I would be doing that, right? My industry is full of orphans, right? We're orphans from other industries. We have, sports people, we have academics, we have people who worked on Wall Street, we have lawyers, we have all kinds of people. I don't think many people grow up, and maybe I'm wrong, but saying, I want to be a real estate agent.
Right.
And frankly, that's not me. I didn't grow up thinking that. I wanted to act, and I wanted to take advantage of some of my artistic bent, right?
Yeah.
And you just don't know where life's going to take you, right? You just have to let those dots connect themselves sometimes, and that's so hard to do when you can't pay your rent.
Yeah.
Right? That's tough. So it's an interesting journey, right? There's the word, but it is. And I jumped into real estate. I took it like a fish takes to water, and I think it partly is because we moved so darn much, and I knew the process. I knew what a good transaction would feel like, and I knew what a bad one would feel like because we'd been through them. I saw my parents' faces and heard their talks as a kid, and so I kind of got a sense of what's good and what's not. My dad's a hell of a salesman. He was the Man of the Year for the Sara Lee Corporation back in the day.
Wow.
With no education. He to the top ranks of the whole global empire of that. And anybody who was around in the 80s will remember that was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
The Sara Lee brand was something.
Oh, yeah.
So we had 3 cakes all the time, so I have a sweet tooth. But even at the very beginning of my real estate work and career, I was auditioning even more.
Like I said, to me, you represent this like a true hero in this sense, and for a lot of artists, because there was way more artists like yourself or out there that have that creative need, in either acting or filmmaking or music or whatnot. But to see you translate it to the real estate world, and there's like an authentic through line. Because when your videos and marketing videos are so enjoyable that I saw somebody who connected the dots that said, oh my gosh, they are still doing what they love to do. And you can see that love through their work. And yet they found a industry that allowed them to shine and, yes, make a very nice living where it actually improves the art, I say, because then it's not so, like, the art's not coming from a desperate place so much. It's coming from a place of joy. And it's been really, really impressive to see what you've built and to hear the story. I had no idea about the story, but the fact that you get to basically say, I had a scene with Jennifer Connelly, who went on to win the Oscar for this film.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for those wonderful remarks, because it made me feel really good. My head is now 20 times bigger. I just got to tell you, first of all, that was cool to do that scene. I'm not in the film in that scene. It's over my shoulder. It's all about her. But I remember the first day we got that script on set. I just what was it? Akiva wrote it. Akiva, what's his last name?
Goldsman.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is awesome. Everybody on that set became friendly with me, and I just loved it. It was hard work. My God, I did not realize that the only thing glamorous about filmmaking are the Oscar parties. That has nothing to do with it. But the only thing glamorous is red carpet stuff, and that has so nothing to do with it. Nothing. And I knew. I mean, coming from the theater world, I knew that theater is blue collar work.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a union and there's things hanging over your head. It's blue collar union work. Let's face it. You're an artist, but you're working in and that's what I love about it, because it's roll up your sleeves, do the work.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I don't know why. I mean, you think, film sets are cushy, Hollywood A-list film set, big budget, studio movie is going to have, cushy. And you know what? It is. It is. You get good food, you get smoothies brought to you and all that stuff, even a stand-in. Yeah. But there's nothing glamorous about filmmaking. And I know that no one out there listening doesn't know that.
Right.
But if you don't, it is you do all your night shoots for 3 weeks straight, and you're up. I mean, all night. Yeah. All night. You go to, you're in the cold. You're in the rain. It's almost like the military. and it's pretty cushy military, but
right.
It's still. It's just making art is messy, and the elements hit you. And it's visceral, and it's moody, and the byproduct is, it can be a beautiful thing, it can be a funny thing, it can be a silly thing, it can be anything, but it can be messy. And I really realized that, because you're like, wow, that was stressful and beautiful, and it's really like you birth this thing, you give birth to something. And that's not, if you've ever been in the delivery room, you know that that's a messy thing. But life is messy, and I think that one of the things that helps me, and I'm always trying to learn and do and get better, is to just embrace that fact and find ways to cope and deal with it, and that strengthen you, that keep you active, that keep you lined up with your values and the way you were raised. If you like the way you were raised, if not, change it. And, just get it done. And that's something I learned on film sets, too. It's like, no time for excuses. Don't fail. The stakes are too high. Do it. Own your mistake if you have it, but move on and right away and get better. Because there's always 20 people trying to take your place. Yeah. And that goes into business, too, right? Own it. Don't get busy making excuses. Don't get busy fixing. Just say you're sorry, move on. Learn from it. Yeah. That's something I learned, because there's no time for drama, because we're making a drama. The drama can't be the making of the film. Right. The film is the drama, and you want to be efficient, excellent, easy to work with, and really at the top of your game, and really pleasant to be around, right? Yeah. People have to like you, and that's always employable. And frankly, that's how it is in my business, is sellers want to hire somebody, or buyers for that matter, they want to hire somebody that, frankly, they like, respect, someone who's successful, who makes it easy, who communicates very well. They don't want someone who's very good at getting out of their mistakes.
Right.
Like there are people that get busy with that skill set, like I can get out of things. Don't even get there. Just say, "Oops, sorry, I messed up. Here's what we're doing. Here's the track we're on now."
Yeah.
Like just adjust and move. And I ride horses. That's a thing I picked up late in life. I was around them my whole life, Virginia and down in the South, and I always wanted to really learn how to ride. So I was the guy with like all the junior high school girls, and I was like the guy in my late 30s riding a horse for the first time and really learning how. And so I got to learn, and I started jumping, and I was asked to be part of a polo team and train, and I didn't do that because I had my kids and I didn't have time, but I will do it. I'll do it. But I love it. But one of the things you learn when you're on a horse, really riding, like English riding and jumping, and that there's no room. You can't not be present.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be in the moment, literally focused, because you're trying to direct the intentions of an animal who's big, 1,000 pounds, whatever they weigh.
Yeah.
And if you make a mistake, the horse will let you know, but also you just adjust and move on. You don't sit on that horse making a billion excuses and da-da-da. Adjust and move on. And if you don't know how to adjust, someone will help you learn. And that's life, man. I'm a dad of a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
And I try hard every day.
Yeah.
And you F up every day. And you're like, you know what? Let's just watch another TV show and eat more candy. Let's do that because I need to get through these emails. But you adjust and you move on. Don't dwell. And if you're stuck, figure out why. Get someone who's smarter than you to help you figure out why. Move on. Because this is just people. I think a lot of people get stuck, and I think that people get. Dare I say this as someone who prides themselves in having an artist's soul? Dare I say we get too stuck in our heads and hearts sometimes? Like sometimes the first instinct is so good and rich, and then we convince ourselves to feel it out for a long time, and then we convince ourselves we shouldn't do it. And that impulse, that wonderful excitement, and I've learned this by watching my daughters because they just get these bright ideas and they run around and they want to do this and make that and do, and I just always throw fertilizer on those lightning bolt moments where they're just lit up. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's do that because that's life force, and that's what artists do, right? They want to do that. A dancer wants to do one extra spin and one higher leap, and an actor wants to go to that next level of depth. And singers want to go to those next notes and hit things that have never been hit. And Olympic athletes want to do it. And that's what drives us as human beings, is because we want to get better and better. And we're competitive as all fuck. And we're driven. And I love that. And I love that about New York because it's just so, everything here is visceral and stakes are high. I love that.
Yeah.
Right? I love that because there's no tolerance for mediocrity. There's places for it. Don't worry. It's not all just superstars here. But it'll chew you up pretty fast. And I like that because you have to stay on your game. It's like you're really riding a thoroughbred here.
Yeah.
Whether it's real estate or auditioning for films or anything. And I spent a couple of years in Los Angeles as a kid, really like in my early 20s. That's when I got to be friends with Sean and some others. I mean, a lot of my friends are kind of famous now, and that's great to see. But I didn't enjoy the journey there as much as I do here. And it's harder in New York. People are like, why are you love it there? I can't explain it. I love type A people.
Yeah.
I love personalities. I don't even know that it's cutthroat anymore because it's all I know. Yeah. And I only realize what it is when I'm not here. So I'm leaving tonight to go to the Outer Banks of North Carolina with my family. We've got a big house. And we'll decompress there a little bit. But I won't realize what New York is until I'm out of it.
Interesting.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So it's a funny thing that you have to step away to see what it is. But I got to say, with these videos that I love to do, it's real add value for my sellers too, because their homes get more attention and a different light And sometimes they're silly, sometimes they're irreverent, sometimes they're bad, jaded, sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're high-minded. It depends on the mood that we're in. And when I say we, I mean Rob Bregman of Flash Frame Productions.
Yeah.
He and I together have created something. It's like we're dancing partners in a way, you know.
Interesting.
Because we really are. We something about the way we play together. You know, there's that magic, and there's certain actors that have that with a DP or a director.
Right.
You know, I'm like his muse, and he's my, I don't know, it's whatever the muse's muse is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we have fun, and that's it. And I know it's trite and cliche, but fun is my indicator, right? Like it's my GPS, really. So if it feels good, I'm in. I'm all in, and I go with my gut a lot. And if somebody gives me a weird vibe, or I don't feel, frankly, safe to explore, then I get small and weird, and I look at myself, and I step out of myself. But it's in those moments where I feel engaged and fun and safe to explore that I just thrive. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And I was doing, sometimes I do these press things for real estate. And one of them led to a really interesting moment. It was there's a show here called Open House New York, and they run it on JetBlue sometimes, and I think they have it in Los Angeles too. And
yeah,
they ran my Greta Garbo piece there recently, but for a while there, before they began an affiliation with a different company, they used a variety of companies, and they were just a young show, and I was on it a lot, and I had so much fun because to me it was just like a field day, right? A field day to be on camera and NBC and touting properties and being whatever you are, silly, fun, serious, whatever you want it to be. And they gave me a license and a long leash, and they asked me to do a live segment with them on Wednesdays. They had an evening segment that went from like 5 to 6, all around the tri-state Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey areas, and other places too, by way of the internet and cable and whatnot. But I would literally go on that show. I would have a few talking points. The red light live, live, would be on, and I got to tell you, it's such a rush. I love it. I love that because I felt safe there.
Yeah,
I felt engaged. I felt prepared. I felt like I was there for a number of reasons. The banter I had with the gorgeous host, Sarah Gore, who's a friend of mine. We were texting today. She's lovely in every way. And I learned so much about camera there. So my TV experience there, a little bit of film taste with a beautiful mind. And I also got some nice advice and support from an extended family member, the Utts. So there was a producer named Kenny Utt, who did all Jonathan Demme's movies.
Right.
And he was my grandfather's cousin.
Okay.
And when I moved to New York, he had done Silence of the Lambs and I think Philadelphia at that point. But he was in his last days. We actually got a phone call in, and then he passed away after that. And I never met him. I never shook his hand, but only on the phone. But I got to know his widow, and I got to know his kids. And I learned so much about him because he won an Oscar for Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, God, it's my wife's favorite movie.
And yeah. I like. He also did a Bob Fosse picture, like All That Jazz.
Oh, God, yeah.
An interesting take. Yeah. So, and I believe that was Demme too. Maybe I'm wrong. And then when his widow died just last year or 2 years ago, I'm standing there like looking at I call her they are my cousins, but she almost felt like my great aunt or something. I'm standing there giving my respects to Angie Utt, and there's Jonathan Demme right beside me. And
wow.
Before he died. And so we're just talking, and he's like, yeah, Kenny and Angie are just, I know where you're from, man. I know where your people are from. I know these people, and I know where you're from, Brian, because I know them. And to be considered part of that was kind of interesting, just even peripherally. But we're just my family. My dad's side's from one part of Virginia, but my mom's is from the mountains of Virginia, which is a very different place. And that's Kenny's people. They were all from, the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia. They're very, all the things you would think that would mean.
Yeah.
That's my family. And just to see us come to New York and do good. And, the Wall Street Journal rankings came out recently, and I was ranked number 137 in America for volume out of 1.2 million agents.
Yeah.
And, of course, the homunculus that I have on one shoulder was like, yeah. And the other one was saying, well, why aren't you number 50 or 20?
Right.
So, and again, that's that good old American drive that we should all have, quite frankly. That's healthy. I think, you got to enjoy where you are.
Yeah.
But you also have to, you can't always look in the rear view mirror. You always got to look through that windshield to go to that next place. And I'm always recalibrating, right, my GPS, always, for my next journey. Like, what is the next journey? Like, I want to take my videos up several notches. I'd love for more people to enjoy them, frankly. Who wouldn't? I would love to take it to a different place. I love to, I don't know if I love acting. I love to play me, though. I've gotten comfortable with me. And so if there's a character out there that's a lot like me, boy, will I play the heck out of that. I did a reading last night. A friend of mine wrote a play, and it was actually really good. But it felt weird to be around the table reading again, playing a different type of person.
Interesting.
It felt refreshing, but I do feel like we play ourselves all day long, right? We do.
Yeah.
Business and everything, you put on your business attire, and you feel like, well, this is my costume, and this is my business mode, but I don't know. It's all interesting and rich and fun and exhausting and happy and sad all at once. It's everything. It's life, and
yeah,
I appreciate it every day. Here I am talking to you on a podcast about filmmaking and how it coincides with an artist that went into real estate and does videos, and that's cool. I mean, People Magazine just ran my Greta Garbo one. They just ran that.
Wow.
People Magazine.
Yeah.
And then before that, they ran one that I did for this condo in the Village, and they said, this a couple years ago, they said, this is the best, and then they said, and the weirdest real estate video we've ever seen. And I think I like the weirdest part better than the best.
Your work it has that sense. It was refreshing because there was a courageousness to it in the real estate field. Like, it's simply, this is me, but it totally was charming, and it sold you and the property. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. And
oh well.
And so I had mentioned that I was on Grimm, but I was acting with this other actor he's a character actor in terms of we've seen him in Iron Man, American Sniper, Central Intelligence. His name is Tim Griffin. He's the guy that is always playing the FBI agents or the military people. So he's like not super famous, but he was just talking to us about stuff, and he was telling the main actor, he's like, oh no, my full-time career is a real estate agent in Los Angeles. That's right. And I said, that is awesome. And I remember,
that's cool.
Yeah, and I remember hearing these stories of the actors in the Mexican soap operas, I forget what they call them.
Telenovela?
Yeah, telenovela, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were saying that because they weren't unionized, they could only make a little bit of money, and that was it. And then they would have to supplement their income either by being Uber drivers, but majority of them were like real estate agents down in Mexico. And I thought, that is fascinating. So when I saw that your work came full circle, when I found that you were an actor and having that as your background, I was over the moon. Like, oh my God, I got to get him on this podcast so that people could hear the value of this, because there's so many people, artists, either they're actors or filmmakers, all they want to do is that, but sometimes, like you said, maybe not be so scared of having another career or a full-time career, but there's ways to connect the dots to still be to express that artistic need and that inner soul that you have. And to me, what you've done is very commendable. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a pathway that I think other people need to see, that it is possible to find that sort of fulfillment in bridging two worlds together.
Well, that's the way I look at it. Maybe it didn't start so high-mindedly. Maybe it was just ego, like, oh, wow, that would be fun. Like, oh, wow, I can be on TV. But then I quickly realized the byproduct of that is, okay, maybe a little ego boost. I've gotten kind of bored with maybe that part of me has been fed. Not enough. Is it ever enough?
Right.
But the byproduct was, wow, people in the industry took notice. Wow, People Magazine. Wow, Wall Street Journal. Wow, Inman, which is this real estate group that's sort of like the good housekeeping of real estate. They said, you're top 10 most innovative in the country. And I was like, oh, wow. And then my sellers are happy because they get more eyes on their property. And then people come see it, and they're like, hey, you're that guy, and would you sell my home? And then I'm making money. Like, talk about residual effect. And the key is that I've got to always keep it interesting. And half the time, and maybe it's quite apparent, but half the time I don't know what we're going to do until we start. and it's not from laziness, but we try to pick up the pieces and the mood that we're in, and the place that we're in, and play the house that we're in. Literally play the house that we're in. Play the room you're in, and roll with it. So it does have a little bit of a punk element, right? And again, I've always been attracted to the people that are, the guy who's on the ball team, who was a walk-on, who was random and came up the ropes a different path.
Yeah.
Or the Howard Stern. I mean, I'm not talking about his content as much as I am his punk approach.
Right.
He kind of comes at it a different way, and I've always liked that. I don't know why. I've always been interested in that. I'm less interested in the people that go through the front door. I'm always interested in the people kind of getting in through the side door and then making it big. I love an underdog.
Yeah.
I love an underdog story. Love it. The Bad News Bears kind of thing when you were a kid watching those movies. I love it. It's just something more authentic and real and fun about it. And, I didn't come to New York with a big roster of rich friends, and I wasn't raised on Park Avenue. And that's okay if you were. God bless you. But I kind of came at it, I was a kid who was, I just came up here. Didn't know a lot of people, did my best, and worked it out. And I'm still doing it every day. Every day. I don't feel like I'm done, and that keeps me hungry, and I think that's fantastic. And I think in life you have to keep asking for more in a nice way, in a way that makes you feel good about yourself, your soul, your life, and all that. And I think the day we quit asking for more is the day we die. I really think that. I think that if you ever look in the mirror and go, I'm completely satisfied, well, just shoot. Jeez. I'm always wanting to, and that doesn't mean I won't enjoy where I am, because you have to hit different plateaus when you're climbing, right? You hit plateaus, you collect yourself, and then you're like, oh, mother, I didn't even know there were more peaks up there.
Yeah.
I thought this was the peak. Okay, moving on. And isn't that great? Isn't that fun to be able to do that?
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's all going to lead, but I'm having fun with the journey, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Boy, it's going to be exciting to see where you go, because you're still way young. There's like...
Well, that's kind of you, my friend. Keep drinking. Whatever you're drinking, I get younger and younger the more you drink. And you're right. Part of the theme of your podcast is we're not limited now to what other people tell us we're allowed to do. We can all make movies on our darn iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
We can all make distribution deals. Writers can publish. Painters can put stuff out there. And it's a very democratic time. It's a very crowded field, but it's very empowering, right? We have the power. And so have fun with that and create something new, and let's create a new paradigm here. And let's be on the cutting edge, because that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Where the pain and sorrow is too, but I'd rather be on the cutting edge than just sort of watching it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
And we have so many stories to tell right now. Our world is the best it's ever been and the worst it's ever been, all in one time. And I think that's what it charges me up about New York, right? Because we have the best and the worst of everything on the same block. We have the most beautiful thing and the most ugly thing all on the same block or on the same train car. And it's like, whoa, this is humanity. It's messy. this is messy. So artists can take all the mess and put a little filter on it and make it something interesting and tell a story. It's just fascinating what we've got it all right here. There's so much to do with it, so many stories to tell.
Yeah.
And so many great voices to tell it.